Hello everyone, here is Peter Churget and this is the Power Awakening podcast. Today I have a guest, Faraaz. He will introduce himself so you get to know a little bit about him and then we will continue the discussion about Power Awakening.
Hey everyone, Faraaz Ali, and pleasure to be here in the studio with you. We've been speaking about doing this for a while, and I'll just let you know who I am. So I'm originally from Fiji, and I've been into the power awakening topic for a long time. And when I've met Peter, we've discussed many things that align, resonates with other people in a similar position of just finding themselves. And I want to share what I've written in my 4 books, which have become bestsellers, thank God, thanks the universe for that. And also the coaching and consulting I do to help people create a beautiful environment for personal development, growth, and mostly human-centric connection. So that's what I specialize in, but we'll go deeper into that as we go further in the conversation.
Thank you very much and it's really great that you are here. I remember it was around 1 year ago when we discussed that it would be nice if you could join.
I know, it's finally happening.
Yes, and it's finally, that's how we manifest. So usually I don't spend too much time with the background stories. We just crack on and get into your power awakenings.
Absolutely, the flashback moments will come through, so don't worry.
Yeah, the guest usually starts from the early ages, from childhood, because those who's watching this, they probably have kids, maybe they are teenagers. So we just share as much as useful basically for others, and since we are interconnected, it will be useful for many of you.
Absolutely.
So where would you start?
I would start with the identity and labels one is born into. So this is a very important topic because it's something many of us accept as being a constant, being a given. Because my background's in Fiji. I grew up in a Fijian-Indian environment. So the Indian part is we've inherited a lot of the Indian culture, but we do not speak in the Indian tone or the accent. We have a more Fijian, like the Jamaican Indians or the Caribbean Indians. So that's one thing, but the cultural background of it, there's a saying in Hindi, log kya kahenga, which means what will people say. So whatever you do in the Indian community, it has to be taken into consideration what are other people going to say, judge you, and how you're representing the family. So that's one thing you born into. So there's always this constraint that you can't be fully yourself in identity. There's certain check boxes that you have to tick to make sure your parents are happy with who you are, the community is satisfied with who you are, and you a law-abiding, cultural-abiding citizen within Fiji. So I grew up with my identity on a restriction. Because whenever you step out of bounds, people will simply say, look at this guy, he thinks he's better than us, he's doing more than us, and then your family pulls you back. So from my early age, from childhood to 13, I had to grow up within that environment. And then I also went to a Chinese school for 8 years, which means it's a very strict environment. You have Kung Fu in the morning, you have meditation, you have the Taoist philosophy. So I grew up with all of this, so you can't really be extraordinary, extravagant within this environment. So a lot of my childhood, I would say, I had to put on a mask to fit in, to belong. And while you put on a mask, you really don't discover yourself. So that's my childhood. It was a fun childhood. I have great memories. Like we didn't have television till I was 12 years old. So I grew up outside, spearfishing, swimming in the ocean, climbing trees. So childhood-wise, it was amazing. But in terms of discovering your identity, it took a while till I got to my late 20s, but we're going to get there.
And I think these topics could be just 1 hour. Once you just start to pick up each topic one by one. What I would suggest, just highlight maybe 1 or 2 of them, how, when when these things become the task to deal with consciously, and how did you deal with it? What was the technique? Who was the teacher? What was the book?
Yeah.
Just from this taking off the mask or the restriction because of the family, or
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start off with the Fijian chapter. That was I stayed in Fiji till I was 13 years old. So you don't have much autonomy as a child in making big decisions. So when my family moved to New Zealand, I couldn't say, "Father, I will stay back, look after the island." That was not an option. So I had to move to New Zealand, and once again, this was PG, pre-Google. So my dad couldn't exactly check the school I was going to go to in terms of the 5-star rating. So the school I went to was a challenging environment in terms of a little bit of racism, a little bit of bullying. So I got taken from a Chinese school where if you get 97% in an exam, it is deemed as not good enough. So your marks have to be 99 to 100%. So you can understand the strictness of that. So you're always performing. You're not present to your own identity. But let's fast forward to New Zealand. When I came there, still finding my identity while fitting into a new environment. I think a lot of your expat audiences would understand that. If you've migrated to a new country, new city, you have to find yourself and fit in. Because if you become yourself too fast, whatever that means, becoming yourself, because we are constantly evolving. So it's finding where you are in your evolution is one thing. But let me go to New Zealand. Like finding the identity came through meeting new people outside of the regular community. Because you can only be what you can see. And if you stay with the same people, the same ideology, you're never going to evolve to your full potential. So I started having conversations with a lot of different people and just started learning about what is the Australian culture, what is the New Zealand culture, what is the Maori, the Aboriginal, just trying to understand all the different concepts to writing more chapters in my book of what a human being is meant to be or what it can potentially be. So eventually all of that information came from different mentors, some strangers, because in life you meet people who stay there for a season, can be 1 month, can be a year, can be a decade, and then you meet people who just stay there for their one conversation. Maybe they're in your life just for 1 week, but they make a difference. For example, let me go back to New Zealand. Is, growing up as a teenager, you're chasing women. It's one of the key things. And every time we went clubbing or partying as a 20-year-old, we had the America's Cup racing in New Zealand. Are you familiar with that? So it's the America's Cup mug. All the racing syndicates, they come down to a certain city and they do racing for like 3 to 6 months. And they prepare for it a year in advance. So we had all these racing clubs in Auckland, New Zealand. We had the Swiss, the Italians, the Americans. And what I really learned in New Zealand is whenever we went out to the bar, we used to put so much effort. Everything was about performance. Like you have to talk the right way, move the right way, buy the right beverage to look cool, to attract the opposite sex and just impress your friends. And then I saw the Italians from Team Prada. These men do not walk, they glide into a room. They demand attention. And I was like, what are they doing? And how can I become them? And trying to observe someone to learn is one thing. You might learn some small bits. But it is then when I discovered I need to develop courage to simply approach that Italian guys from Team Prada who are part of the sailing syndicate and ask them, teach me everything you know because I'm ready to learn. And that requires courage. And the Italian's like, what do you want to learn? And I'm like, everything. And they slowly start mentoring you. And it's an organic relationship. And they're not teaching you how to pick up girls or be cool. They're simply teaching you how to be confident. So my intention when I went to speak to them was discovering the art of being cool, attracting girls, being fun around your friends, but they're actually teaching me a different lesson: how to be confident, start believing in yourself, and start awakening your power within. This was not written on the brochure or the manual, that was not part of the conversations, but spending time with them, they became an organic mentor. I started learning, if you go in a room, head held high, believe in yourself. If you're going to speak to someone, make eye contact, speak slowly, make sure the conversation involves you listening to them as well rather than just speaking. And it's about facilitating conversation, owning the room, all of the small things I learned from the Italian mentors, and within 6 months I could start noticing the difference. I became a transformed person. It was no longer about performance, and performance. It was more about presence. Am I being present in the room with self-confidence, anchored in self-belief, anchored with the right intentions? And that kind of changed the whole energy of how I showed up. And I think that was one of the most significant moments in my life in my early 20s, when I discovered what human potential with power within really is.
And actually, what you said, it's true when someone gets into the wrong group of people, and actually that person can just pick up the wrong things as well.
Absolutely.
So I just heard one father's interview, and then he said if he noticed that his kids get into the wrong group, he's even ready to relocate, because he know that in this age how important to have the right people around the kids.
Absolutely.
So your example is basically also shows this, the right people around you. Plus, if you want to become someone, you have to first imagine who I want to become, who is my role model. And actually, it's one of the biggest problem of single mothers, for sure. Like, okay, if there is no father and there are just people coming and going, what to do with the man role model? How to show man role model to my kids?
No, that's a good topic, because influence is very important for a child, and if you have the right influence, it is a very powerful, let's say, like the sun to a plant and water to a plant. If the mother is the feminine energy of water, the masculine energy is the sun, the environment that helps that seed grow. And as a child, as a teenager coming to New Zealand, I was surrounded by some fun kids, but I was in an environment that was quite hostile. There was gangs, and I had to put on a mask. We're going to speak about the mask because, like I mentioned earlier in the conversation, we're already rounding back. In the Chinese school, getting 99%, 100% was the norm. If you get 97%, you're a bad student. And this was a school where they whoop your, I shouldn't say ass, I don't know what the rating is on the show, but actually you get smacks from the teachers. It's one of those schools, bamboos on the hand, belts, everything was included, so you were pushed to succeed, to embrace performance. So anyway, take that background, put me in New Zealand where there's no hitting of students, and I was getting 100% in all the tests in the first Form 3, that's what they call it, and I was excelling, like, yes, good grades. And then all of a sudden, when you get good grades in a school that doesn't embrace that culture of getting good grades, but they see someone getting good grades as a nerd, I got labeled a nerd. And when you get labeled a nerd, you get picked on by the bullies. You have a bullseye on your head. And I remember in the first 3 months of the school, the hottest chick in our class here, she actually sent a note like, would you like to go out on a date? Now, I must remind you, I didn't have TV till I was 13. So I didn't watch all the TV shows, Saved by the Bell, all the college stuff. I didn't know the concept of date, which is I only know it as a calendar term and as the fruit. So the social engagement of someone, let's go out on a date. Remember, this is pre-Google. I had no idea. I couldn't even search it online. I'm like, she wants to go on a date. The fruit, the calendar, what's going on here? And because I took my time to research, and all the kids around you, bro, she's asking you on a date, you're the man. There's too much commotions going around. I declined to answer, so it looked like rejection. But put that girl aside, all the bullies, all of a sudden, shit, that hot chick they were interested in asked him out, and he's also getting the A grades. So all of a sudden, I had a bullseye on my head. And over time, I had to answer questions wrong to drop my grades from like getting it right all the time to 95, 90, 85% just to fit in. Because back then, being too smart puts a target on your back. And that's what we speak about. If you're in the wrong culture, the wrong environment, you're going to have to, if you're a F1 Formula 1 car and you're driving in a slower race, you're going to have to put your speed down to stay with the pack. And that is one of the most dangerous things for any human being. Like, you don't play to your full potential. You don't operate at your full power. You don't embrace your full identity because your environment is very unsupportive of it.
So basically, for growth,
Yeah,
it's better to have people around you who you can see them they are better, because it motivates you to catch up.
absolutely.
Just immediately the fight trainings came up into me, because basically
Yeah,
for me the man role model was the like Jean-Claude Van Damme and Steven Seagal and all this, because
yeah,
in the previous podcast you can hear about my story. I had a very damaged male model in front of me who committed suicide when he was 37.
wow.
It's horrible. So he disappeared from my picture. So basically what I've seen is the movies.
Yeah,
And luckily I'm glad that I've seen these action movies in that time. So I wanted to go to karate, and I wanted to be like those, like providing safety and feeling strong
yeah,
and confident. So that helped me a lot in this. And once I got into different fighting gyms,
yeah,
there was always black belt, brown belt. Ooh, what are these? And then
yeah,
once I understood them, I was fighting with them.
yeah,
I was like, wow, I want to be like this for
yeah.
sure. So that motivated me. So actually, what you are saying, as I understood, is basically if we want to level up, we have to find the right environment for this.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a quote, it's not attributed to Harvey Specter, it's a character from Suits. This quote comes from somewhere else, but it's pretty much if you're the smartest man in the room, you got to change the room. And it's the same thing in life. If you are at a point where you're excelling and getting the best results, you got to change your environment to be surrounded by the best to grow. Because that is the ultimate level of growth, development, and simply mentorship that organically grows. Like, you wanted to be around black belts because you're like, wow, that guy moves so good. I want to be like him. And I think we share a similar childhood in terms of Sylvester Stallone, Arnie, JCVD, Steven Seagal, Chuck Norris, maybe not so much. He wasn't the big muscular guy, but it was the same role models. Like, that's how man is supposed to be. And then I used to watch World Wrestling Federation. You had the, ooh, brother, Macho Man Randy Savage and Hogan. And you see all these masculine things, but you never see their challenges. These men have challenges with addiction, depression, there's alcohol, loneliness. There's so much things beneath the surface. But when you put on a performance, you just put on a show, you tell everyone, everything's great, I'm doing well, everything's going well. And fast forward, a lot of men, they're still like that. Men do not speak about their problems. They hold on to everything. And it's one of the heaviest weight a person can carry is simply they don't speak about the emotions, the challenges. Because the men, if you grow up watching Arnie, Sylvester Stallone, it's like, I gotta be tough. Warrior, protector, provider, hunter, gatherer. Those are the labels you go with. You don't really see the space for a safe space to speak about your emotions. Like, this is tough. I'm still handling this childhood trauma. So I know you've had a lot of male circles and you focus on creating spaces for people to speak about these things. Because if it's not spoken it is held within, and it's just a list of implosions. You see an angry man, and he is not angry because of the external environment. It's just a lot of unresolved issues. And what happens is, once like I found my identity, and you've done the same, stepping into your power, you realize, hey, I can be of service to others. There's other men, other masculine women in a similar situation who are trying to find their identity, their voice, be seen and be understood. And once you start going around empowering people, you have a ripple effect. Like I mentioned, I surround myself with people who are much better than me so I can grow to their level. But you are that person to someone else. So as long as you empower someone, mentor someone, give them a little bit of encouragement, support, guidance, it helps them excel. They get better. They help the next person. And that chain effect is, I guess, both of our impact on humanity and providing, being of service to the world.
Yeah, that's the journey we are on.
Yeah.
When you started to talk about the weights
Yeah.
that they put on men who don't talk about emotions or anything, basically, because they just think that they have to be tough because of these movies, for example, but maybe just because they had a father like that who that was just the same. Basically, my imagination immediately just put this picture in front of me, which is having a backpack and stones in.
Yep.
And every time you don't talk about something, you just put the stones in, and you said it's getting heavier.
Yeah.
So what people do when they carry heavy weights, they are tired,
Yeah.
plus they are frustrated, angry, and lots of disturbing feelings they have.
Yeah.
So then what comes in that time? Addiction. Oh, I like to go to the pub.
Yeah.
Which is good for a certain point because people want to socialize, they want to relax.
Yeah.
And the problem, when we carry the weights, basically we don't relax because we carry
It's
it.
still on you.
Yeah. And then once I use some kind of substances that helps me to relax and put this down or feel like I put them down,
Yeah.
then actually it becomes a habit. Like, it's good to at the weekend just do something that makes me relax.
Yeah.
No? So we go that direction with this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that whole notion of escapism. You escape to the pub, you put that bag down, you drink, you socialize, your problems disappear temporarily. If you're watching online streaming the whole season, you destroy your sleep, but the problems disappear for a moment. So ultimately, self-sabotage develops somewhere along the path. If you haven't discovered your identity, your values, we're going to speak about values before we jump on to going into self-sabotage. If you don't have your values, then basically you don't have an anchor. If you don't have a purpose, you don't have direction. Then can just imagine yourself drifting in the ocean with the wind, whichever way it goes. You have no destination, you have no values in this sense, sailing skills of how you're going to get it to the next location, and you just drift. And people come by, you might see something on the horizon. I'm going to go towards that. Oh, that's just a sand dune. I'll go to the next thing. And often what happens is, if a child doesn't discover their values, their purpose, they're going to jump from one thing to the other, the next shiny thing, to discover the person of influence. And one of the biggest dangers right now we're seeing in society is, as a parent, there was the helicopter parenting. Are you familiar with the concept? It's like your child is here, the helicopter's on top. You're like, I see you, baby. Do your thing, do your thing. But you have that security net over them. You're making sure they are safe, they are guided, they're mentored. But now there's something called the lighthouse parenting. The child will discover what they're looking for. It will come to them. And if you put a child out there without guidance, they're going to discover something on YouTube, an influencer or person of guidance. Then all of a sudden, You'll have someone who's maybe 17, 22 years old without enough life experience, still discovering their own identity, becoming an influencer and guiding children, let's say 9 to 14. And this becomes very dangerous. So when we speak about the religious ideology or settings or just cultural settings, it provides a sandbox of guidance. Like teaching someone the 10 Commandments. At least they have a guideline. Teaching someone any other religious guidelines, it gives them something to be aligned to. Because if you start going down a rabbit hole, it becomes very dangerous. Like you and I both grew up watching Mel Gibson's William Wallace McGregor, The Speech, which is we might die fighting. Give me the speech. What was it? Oh, we might die trying. Something like that. The famous speech. It doesn't come to me on camera. You may take our lives, but not our freedom.
Yes.
That was the line. And living life, you have to find something to live for. Forget about dying, because dying is too focused on finding something to live for. Whether it's becoming a parent and guiding the child to the full potential or living to be of service to another, that purpose needs to be discovered, and it's not going to get discovered by one very young person online. It requires a journey. You're going to meet a lot of mentors, a lot of people of influence. Some you will not get along with and discover this was the wrong person. Some will give you all the foundations to get to the next level. But ultimately it comes down to influence, courage, and a willingness to discover.
It is a great part of the podcast because we are close to the end of the first. But you mentioned very, very good topics to follow up on.
Yeah.
Because once you said that if the influencers take over the influencing our childs or just adults, like following somebody who's still not there, but already sharing stuff, that is just partly okay. And we don't even meet with this person. This is another topic. This is a virtual person. And then now in this AI generation, you can create just 100% human
Avatars,
look avatar, and we don't know who is behind. So why this podcast is here and available in Oslo, for example, is to meet people who are physically available. So you can meet with us and then discuss how to get you somewhere where you want to be or where you want to be, basically. So during the one-to-one sections that both you and me has, basically guiding people through all these steps. Because it's so much. It's not just watching a YouTube video. It's someone basically you need who mentor you, who guide you. Just go that direction because you want that one, right? Right. Okay. So let's do it. Because AI is not an ultimate solution for everything. It
is a double-edged sword.
For example, I ordered the adapters for the lamp, and it was 100% that it will fit. And once it's here, it doesn't fit. So I just said, thank you, AI, very good job. So we will go into that topic, not just AI, but to follow up on all of this that we already touched in this podcast. So I'm quite sure you will follow up on the next podcast section. So
let's drop a teaser. We're going to speak about relationships, which is very important, and we haven't really spoken about it right now. We've spoken about getting in touch with yourself. So the next podcast, let's jump into relationships.
Let's do it. Thank you. See you soon.
So we'll continue from there when you come back.